Imagine you are in a wonderful new city you have never been before. You have had an incredible lunch with partners or friends or family, and you now came along this amazing park, and spontaneously you decide to have a walk in the park. And this is definitely not a problem, because most commonly at the entrance of the park you will find a map where you can see all the different places within the park, the paths which are leading around the park, and you can have your orientation there. And if you are tired, you can just sit down, maybe on the bench directly at the entrance or somewhere in the middle of the park, and you will have a wonderful afternoon. And you will be safe all over the park, because the paths are well prepared for everyone. There are signs all over the park so that you can easily find the exit. Nothing will happen to you. And all the nice thing about this is that this comes without the need for preparation. So you can just come as you are. You do not need special shoes. You do not need any information beforehand or training. You can just start and have this walk in the park. But when you decide to move towards DevOps, this is definitely not a walk in the park anymore. Welcome to my talk. My name is Sabine Wojcieszak, and I am the enthusiastic Agile and DevOps enabler at GetNextIT. We are a German-based consultancy, and we help teams and companies to grow with better collaboration, better communication, and better leadership, so that DevOps is easier for them. And you can see around all these pictures that I'm really keen on apps which you can transform a usual picture into something more interesting. I'm frequently speaking at conferences and Devopsdays, and I always like the hallway track because you come into contact with other people. And a lot of them tell me we are doing DevOps. But it's not only on conferences, but also with our customers. And when I hear people saying, oh, we are doing conferences, I love to ask the question, have you ever heard about CAMS? And thank you, John Willis, Damon Edwards, and Jess Humble for this very, very helpful acronym which explains which are the important pillars for doing DevOps. But what do people answer when I say, have you ever heard about CAMS? A lot of them haven't heard about CAMS. But when I listen to what they are talking about, a lot of them are talking about automation. I can say not only a lot of them, but most of them. And after this, when I say, okay, what are you doing else than just automation? Some of them explain DM on CAMS, which is the measurement, the metrics. A few of them are doing some lean approaches, so to find out what is waste in our processes, what can we do better. And some are also talking about the sharing approach in CAMS. But only, really only a few talk about the C, the culture in CAMS. So you see, CAMS is the acronym for culture, automation, lean, measurement, and sharing. And this reminds me of something. And it reminds me of what has happened in the Agile world. Agile is also now a very interesting part. So in the Agile world, we talk a lot about Agile theater, where people are playing a role and they have some instructor who says, now you have to move there, you have to move there. They have learned things by heart, but not necessarily understood it. Another thing is the Agile zombies, which are people who are pretending to be Agile, but they are moving around without thinking about what they are doing. And we have the pseudo-Agile, which is they pretend to be Agile in a lightweight style. We are doing Scrum, but in a lightweight style, which then means we are doing sprints, but no retrospectives, no review, and also no dailies. And they do not have a Scrum Master role or something like this. And I'm wondering, is this actually also happening with DevOps? Do we have the DevOps theater? Do we have DevOps zombies or the pseudo-DevOps? Why has this happened to Agile? Agile comes from a niche and then turned into a hype and a mainstream. And whenever more and more people are jumping on a train, it gets harder to give all the necessary information and to have the understanding everywhere. And the same is actually happening to DevOps. And I say it's good that companies think about doing DevOps and this becomes a mainstream, and it's very logical because we have the digital times, we are in the digital transformation, we are talking about digitization, and we have a need for digital products, and not only in IT companies but in all other industries. And most of them come from a very classical approach how to run an organization, how to work together. So let's have a look at the reality in mid-size and small companies. Often you find there the situation that the head of accounting and finance, a person who is dealing with numbers, is also the head of IT. This is not a specialist for IT, it's a specialist for numbers, and this person should also manage the IT department. This is the situation in a lot of these small and mid-sized companies. So the first thing what has to happen now is that these businesses understand that we do not need an approach any longer which is business and IT. What we now need in our digital times is that we have an approach which is IT is part of business, or IT is business, or better, IT drives business. Yeah, this is a very different approach which helps you to make better decisions. But again, think of the head of finance as also the head of IT. And when this head of finance hears all the fantastic stories, we are talking about the unicorn companies who have done magic, and then we see the marketing prospects about all these tools which are there to automate everything, it's clear that DevOps is somehow seductive for them. But we need to think about one thing, that DevOps is not the cherry-picking approach. If you want to do DevOps, you cannot only focus on automation, because this is only one part of DevOps. This is not the whole DevOps. And you can also not just picking the low-hanging fruits. If you want to do DevOps and you want to have the lean aspect inside of it, you really need to dive deep into your organizational structures, the way you work together, the processes, and all those things. They are not directly how to develop a new product, but it's about how we collaborate together and how we can transform information from one part of the company to the other part of the company. So DevOps is more or less a holistic approach. And I really like this, because when we want to think in a way that IT drives business, we need to have this holistic view on it. But with this holistic view, there are a lot of ingredients which are necessary to make DevOps a success. But with this lot of ingredients, we really need to understand what it is about. So the first thing you should definitely do is to ask yourself, why are we doing DevOps, or why are we wanting to do DevOps? If you have defined your why, then you can much easier define how much you are willing to invest for reaching your goal. Before you start with your why, identifying your why, you need to understand what DevOps really means and what it can bring to you, which benefits can come with it, but also which complications can come with it. For me, DevOps as an interpretation is deliver valuable products with better quality sooner to customers and users. So first of all, we have the part of deliver, which means to bring this product to the customer. And therefore, the pipeline with all its tools is very helpful. But with the valuable products, we are in a situation that the development department and the operations department or the DevOps team cannot do this alone. They need information from all those people who are talking to customers so that they can decide what are valuable products. And also with the quality, with better quality, what is the quality which is important for our customers? Only when we know this, we can have the right setting in the pipeline to check the quality. Sooner, it means that we do not waste the time, so we have the lean approach, but also again the pipeline, and this, the customer and user, the customer centricity. This is about how we organize ourselves and which mindset we have. Another term which often comes with DevOps is the CICD, and what most of you will know is continuous integration and continuous delivery, and this is about the tools. Yeah, this part is about the tools, but you can also see CI/CD as the continuous improvement and continuous development. Continuous improvement of products and continuous development of products, but as well also continuous improvement of people and continuous development of people. And you can also take it as continuous improvement and continuous discovery of opportunities and outcome. So CI/CD can have all these interpretations and is still right. There is one myth in a lot of companies, and you see it when you look at all these job offers. All companies are looking for certified DevOps engineers. But when you take a look at what is trained in these workshops, you will find out that they talk a lot about the automation stuff, they talk a little bit about the metric stuff, but most of them never talk about the cultural stuff or the lean stuff. So having a certified DevOps engineer does not automatically mean that you are doing DevOps. You are maybe doing the automation part and the metrics part, but what about the C, the L and the S? So you can't buy DevOps neither with tools nor with certifications, and you need to be clear about this. But this does not automatically mean that DevOps is for free. DevOps is not for free. It requires investment. Investment in training people, investment in changing the culture, investment in time, and also investment in money. This needs to be very clear. Here are some frequently observed anti-patterns we have seen during our work. First of all, one day my husband got a call. My husband is the second part of Get Next IT, from a former student of us, and this student says, "Oh, I'm now in the DevOps team in our company, and yeah, we are building the pipelines for the rest of the teams, but they are not willing to use it." So my husband asked, "Okay, who decided how your pipeline should be? Did you talk to the developers? Did you talk to the operations people?" And our student said, "No." So they are still siloed because this is a separate department called the DevOps department, and not talking, not communicating with other people who should use this service. I met another lady and she said, "We have also a DevOps team now, and they are also setting up the pipelines for us. And each morning it's very interesting to see if our builds were successful or not. Most commonly they are not successful because we don't know what is checked within the pipelines. So we have no chance to build in the quality. We just need to find out what will be checked, and after a while, when we have a glimpse of what the pipeline is doing, they change the setting." Again, no communication between the department who is setting up the pipeline and the rest of the company. No transparency, what is required, which quality is required, what's happening inside of the pipeline. Another example is a team which also used the pipeline for the first time, and they said, "Okay, we have a linter now, but it gave too many warnings, so we decided to turn the warnings off." So if you have a tool which is checking things and gives warnings, and you turn all the warnings off, it doesn't make sense anymore. It's not there just to have it there. So there was no understanding what this was for, why they should use it. And there was also no trust that they can have these warnings without any problems afterwards. And so some of them also had fear that they will run into problems if there are too many warnings, and that their work is judged because of all these warnings. Another team told me, we are measured by the numbers of features we develop, but we should not talk to sales or after sales. We have to make up our minds to come up with new features. This is the feature factory, just producing features, no matter if they are important for the customers or bring value to the customers. This is the wrong metric to just measure a team by the number of features. And they have no communication, so this is also not helpful to deliver valuable products. And they are still siloed. This is the IT department, and this department should do their own work and not talk to other people. And I also witnessed a problem with an airline. And the airline had problems over more than 6 hours with no bookings, with no check-ins online. And people were reporting this problem via Twitter. And the only answer was, our IT has not reported any problems. But the problems were obvious. I also had these problems. I could not book a flight. So be open to the obvious. If people are reporting problems, don't say they are not there. This does not help. And the question is, what was monitored here? Just that the website was reachable, or also that the services are available and working? And they had no business relevant metrics there, so otherwise the business could have seen, okay, more than 6 hours, no bookings from all over Europe, there must be a problem. This is not the common case. Another company explained, it's a newspaper printer, and they explained that their service provider, the IT provider, has now moved into the cloud. And they complained about that there are so many updates during the production time. And in newspaper production, it's a very short time, from the data coming in until the newspaper has to be ready. And so there are not IT people working on the systems, but production workers are working on the system. So they are not specialists with it. And whenever the updates are changing everything, they run into a lot of problems. So continuous delivery also has not a good side. In this case, the company, the IT company who delivered the services, had no user focus. And maybe they used the wrong metrics, deploys per day. Is this helpful in this case? And also, we can look at the question of performance. We can focus on performance and on being fast, but if you build the wrong thing right and it's faster, it's still the wrong thing. So performance alone is not the important metric. It can show you if the things you have changed in your process are helpful and have changed everything, but it's not a standalone metric. So DevOps means definitely more than just automation. It means comes and is the holistic approach, and you should have this in mind. And John Willis said, if you can't get the C, don't bother with the A, the L, the M, and the S. So don't waste time if you do not get your culture right. If you want to move towards DevOps, love to learn, love to find out what DevOps is really about, love to learn, to understand DevOps and the whole idea behind it. And maybe for the DevOps community, it's time to create something like the Agile Manifesto or the Scrum Guide, maybe the DevOps Guide, which is written by the DevOps community and not by tool provider marketing or certification marketing, but by the community who is doing the whole thing about DevOps and has the special mindset. And it should be short and a common introduction. We have a lot of cool stuff about DevOps, but maybe reading a full book with more than 200, 300 or 600 pages is too much time for a lot of people. So something short like the Scrum Guide as the DevOps Guide would be an interesting thing to do. And remember, DevOps is not a walk in the park. It's more like hiking. You need to have a clear goal. You need to prepare yourself. Maybe you need to have some training, whatever. Get familiar with the environment. What does DevOps mean and what is your situation, so that you can have an idea what you need to do. And think about who is with you, so that you can find out which preparation, which training is needed. Be prepared on your way for the unexpected. Be always prepared that you have to change your way, that you have to decide, make different decisions. Because one is for sure, when you want to do DevOps, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. You have to find your own way, your single solution, which is only right for your environment and for your situation. So here, in this case, if you want to do DevOps, preparation is definitely the key factor for being successful. Thank you very much, folks, and I hope you enjoyed this talk.